This is Jamie Boyum at, guess where? Longview. It says so right there. And this is Mr. Longview, Richard Yankley. Yeah, he does all the talking for the city. So let's talk about Teague Park. I understand a little bit of property's been purchased, and you guys want to try to build an entrance off of Highway 80 that goes right over to the Veterans Memorial.
Yeah, so people may have heard like murmurs about this over the years. It's been a thing that we've been talking about for a while, but we feel like it's really kind of entering its home stretch. There's a design concept, there's renderings where we're starting to get to where we want to go, which basically is providing a way for folks traveling on Marshall Avenue, Highway 80, to get into Teague Park from US 80. So we're looking at providing an entryway kind of just east of where Alpine Road hits 80, if you know that intersection, where people could turn and go south down into Teague Park. It's a great park. It's a beautiful park. There's the amphitheater, the pond, like you said, the Veterans Memorial with that Vietnam wall, the giant flag. It's brand new playground. It's a great park, but it's a little secluded back there. Right now you have to go down American Legion or go down Teague to get there. So providing access to that park from US 80 would go a long way to making our residents more aware and familiar with this jewel we have sitting right there in the middle of town.
Yeah, it occurs to me that it would make it much more attractive to people just going down 80 and, oh, look, there's a park.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if most of our residents driving down 80 don't know that just a block over, right, there's one of Longview's largest parks that also has a bunch of things that the rest of our parks don't have. Again, I mentioned the pond where we have our kid fish tournament, right, or the kid fish derby. We don't have that other places. It's a great place. The Veterans Memorial wall and the rest of the memorial, we don't have that other places. The outdoor amphitheater, we don't have that other places. So it really is a unique park, a unique part of our parks system, and we think that providing that access from US 80 will really make it more trafficked and more people familiar with this place that we have in Longview.
Right, and this is not a new thing. I guess people have been talking about it for 7-8 years or more.
Yeah, so there's been talk off and on about doing this. One thing that people may be aware of is the mayor's Go Giver Gala, which he had for several years, and then COVID and all the things, right? But one of the things that fundraiser that he hosted that raised money for was the revitalization of US 80, and kind of particularly this project. So we have a little over $350,000 that has come in from that fundraiser that's available. We don't have final costs on what the whole project will look like. We'll need to get the final plans done before we actually have those good estimates, but that's at least a sizable pot of money that is already available and we think is prepared to be leveraged for this project.
Right, and and like you were saying, don't really have plans yet, and I guess all the property hasn't been purchased either, right?
Yeah, I think a part of the final plans in terms of making this a reality, there is some property that's going to need to be purchased, maybe some flipped. So there's some real estate portion of it as well. But again, in concept, I think all the players in the city all have an idea of how this can work going forward, and we can hopefully make this idea that the community has had for a while a reality.
Yeah, okay, and you mentioned amphitheater a little bit ago. Of course, you're talking about the amphitheater at Teague Park, not this other one that was proposed up by I-20, and that's just kind of sitting there at this point. What's the latest on that, or is there any latest on that?
I set you up for that, didn't I, Jamie? That's funny.
You did.
So there is the amphitheater at Teague Park where people can have, productions. But then there is also this proposal from private investors to build a venue on Interstate 20. So you may remember the city council, they heard a proposal, heard maybe some possible options of how the city could get involved in supporting that initiative and what that could mean for the city. But then the private investors have gone and they're doing the fundraising and they're doing the planning. So really it's probably best to ask them where they are in the process. And then when everything is done, if everything is done, I assume they'll come back to the city council and ask for official approval for whatever city support may look like, but they'd be the best person to know where it is in the process. We haven't continued those conversations really beyond that initial proposal that they came and gave to the city council.
Gotcha, okay, because I'm sure people are kind of wondering about that. So.
Sure, right, it made a big splash when it came out. People, we heard from people who were like, absolutely, this would be great for our community. We heard of people, maybe there are other things that the city could support instead, right? And that type of feedback is necessary, but ultimately, It's the private investors who are going to go and figure out if it works and if they can make it feasible for them, and they're the people to ask about that.
All right, good deal. Well, thank you for the updates on those couple of topics there. And so, yeah, if you guys are wondering, that's kind of what's happening with that. Teague Park, sometime soon, there will be some kind of big entrance there, and I would imagine parking lot, and, the whole 9 yards,
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
in the design stage at this point. And then the amphitheater, well,
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I? I know you're doing your closing, so I feel bad jumping in. Can I
no,
jump
go
in?
ahead. You got something else?
No, well, I think the mayor has said that he intends to have the Go Giver Gala again in 2024.
Okay.
He normally has it in the spring, and again, this is that thing that has raised money. So I just wanted to put a little flashing, right, like, mark your calendar, be aware. There might be one more opportunity to support this, depending on how it moves forward, and assuming that that money again goes to this type of project, but he looks to have it again in 2024.
Yeah, because the Go Giver Gala is not just for this specific project, right?
It's been used for several different things, but most recently it's been for the Highway 80 renovation along with the Teague Park entryway project.
Gotcha. And I guess there was a little hiatus there with the Go Giver because of
Yeah,
things.
COVID. Yeah.
So, all right.
Sorry. You can close now. I'm sorry.
Are we done?
Yeah, I guess.
Cool, Richard. Okay. Thank you very much for all the info once again.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll have more later on KLTV7 News and KLTV.com. And hey, go to a park, do some swinging.